Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Battlefront Virtual Reality Rogue One X-wing mission that I had a chance to play earlier this week over at Gamescom. This is a virtual reality mission that is coming out for free to the PS4 later this year if you own a PlayStation virtual reality headset. Just as with the Death Star, it was behind closed doors in the business area, so I can't show any footage or something like that, but I can show you some footage of me playing the game, and I can also talk about everything I experienced. I just wanted to start off by saying that before this play session, the only really experience I had with the virtual reality was the day before, where me and my friend Jimmy tried out the Robinson virtual reality experience, which is sort of like a dinosaur-ish mission. And I kind of felt pretty nauseated and sick after doing that, so I was a little bit afraid that I was gonna have the same experience with Battlefront. But luckily I didn't, and I felt perfectly fine when I was done with the X-wing mission. I think this may be because in the X-wing mission you're actually sitting in a cockpit and flying, whereas in the Robinson game you were actually walking around but still sitting still on a chair, which probably confused your brain quite a bit, which was why I felt sick from it. The X-wing mission was around 5 minutes long, but this is just like the first part of it. And it starts off with you being able to walk around an X-wing that is stationary, like in a white room. And instead of actually walking around, you aim at different spots and then get teleported to that spot. And I think that's actually a very smart thing they did to make sure that people don't get sick by walking around. And I heard from the developers that they put down a lot of effort trying to find out why people feel sick from virtual reality and what they can do to prevent that, which they obviously succeeded with, at least for me. And after you're done inspecting the X-wing, you jump into it and fly up into the space. And you start off at the Rebel fleet with a lot of transport ships, X-wings, A-wings and all that kind of stuff. And you need to fly around them and eventually make your way to the front of the fleet in order to do a light speed jump. Because the goal of the mission, as far as I understood it, was to protect a cruiser that got attacked in an asteroid field by a bunch of TIE fighters. So when you're done flying around the fleet and you kind of get used to the controls and so on, you go to the front of the fleet and then you do a light speed jump with a couple of other X-wings and you end up in the battle against a bunch of TIE fighters. When you're flying around, the controls are exactly like in the real Battlefront game with the PS4 controller, except for the fact that you can't do the maneuvers like spinning sideways, doing a 180 turn and stuff like that, because I think that's another thing that might cause people to be sick. But it was really cool to be able to actually look around the cockpit, and if you see a TIE fighter flying by, I usually turn my head to try and see where they actually flew. Same thing when you could hear them behind you and you wanted to know which direction they were coming from, you could just turn your head and see them. And there was actually a couple of buttons in the cockpit that you could press, at least when you were on the ground, where you could see your X-foils on the sides of the ship move into different positions, and they said that they were going to add more pushable buttons within the actual cockpit in the full game. So basically when you get the hang of the controls, all you do is defend this transport ship against waves of TIE fighters until you're eventually done, and it ends with a Star Destroyer flying by right above you, which to me was probably the coolest part of the whole mission, because you got kind of locked into, I think it was a tractor beam, because you could hear the sound and then your aim kind of went upwards and it went straight towards the Star Destroyer, and I thought, oh no, I'm gonna crash because I can't do anything, and then the screen got black and the mission was done. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the full game after that, but it was a very cool scene nevertheless. In terms of Rogue One, I'm not really sure why it's called Rogue One, because I didn't see any particular link to the Rogue One movie. But that could potentially be because this is so early and they can't really show the Rogue One parts since the movie isn't out yet. So this probably was just like the introduction to the mission, and the full mission might have more links to the Rogue One movie. Overall, I was very pleasantly surprised about this mission, and if I can get my hands on a PS4 virtual reality headset, I will definitely want to play through the whole mission, because I think it was very well done, and I think anyone who is a Star Wars fan will really love this virtual reality experience, because you do truly feel like you're inside an actual X-wing. But yeah, that is all for my first impressions of the virtual reality experience. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below, as I'm sure I missed some details you might want to know. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.